Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2022 Toyota Corolla Apex. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this Corolla Apex for one main reason. It is a very interesting trim level that was only offered in 2021 and 2022. Toyota only made about 6,000 of them, which might sound like a lot, but only 3,000 per model year, and in terms of Toyota, that's not even a drop in the bucket. The Apex could be had either on top of the SE or XSE trim. This is the XSE, so it has a few more bells and whistles. But the Apex package is basically an appearance package. You get the blacked out and bronze accents on the outside, as well as a suspension package. So it gets bigger anti-roll bars. It actually is lowered about 0.6 inches and has tuned dampers along with a titanium exhaust to give it just a little bit different of an exhaust note. So let's see how all of those goodies play together in the Corolla Apex. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackpreto.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2 liter under the hood, making 169 horsepower. Well, it's not anything groundbreaking, and you'll find this in pretty much every other Corolla, and even the Corolla Cross. Although it did receive a power bump to that 169 horsepower in recent years, it's still not anything crazy. Similarly, looking here at the average MPG, the owner Colin is averaging 23.8 miles to the gallon, which is nearly identical to the 2023 press Corolla that I had for a week, and I averaged 24 miles to the gallon. And I got a lot of comments saying, oh, you don't know how to drive. How are you getting that low out of a Corolla? Well, this seems to back up my case that it might not be as efficient as you might think. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT, but Toyota uses kind of a trick CVT system. Yes, it is a continuously variable transmission, and it has a sort of belt system to change ratios on the fly. But what Toyota does is they actually give it a physical first gear. So launching this car off the line, getting it going, there actually is a physical gear to do so. Then it swaps over to the CVT system, and from then on out, it adjusts its ratios as need be. This is to help make the car feel a little bit peppier, give you that sort of solid base before you drive, and I really like that they do that. Now, you could find these in manual, however, they are very, very, very rare. Toyota only made 120 of them throughout both model years, and for 2023, they dropped the manual option altogether. So, finding an Apex in manual is going to be very difficult. Last but not least, the Corolla is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Apex? Well, I do notice a slight stiffness in the suspension, which does make sense. Cornering is a lot flatter, and you can take corners a little bit faster in the Corolla Apex than you might be comfortable in other trim levels. So that suspension work that they did really did turn out, which I was surprised to see. Visibility is decent. For a modern car, I would consider it good. Steering is a little heavy, just a touch on the heavier side in the segment. I would say heavier than my Mazda 3, but not by any major margin. So that physical first gear, and then we're into CVT. And you can kind of hear it sort of once we do get into the CVT. So revving it out stops kind of quickly. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I do have these really nice blue gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer. In the center is my speedometer as well as my digital gauge, so I can mix around and change some of these features if I'd like. I'll scroll through a couple of them now if you're curious about what they look like. And then off to the right, I have my fuel and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, I have my selectors for that screen off to the left, as well as my volume and phone own options. And off to the right, I do have my cruise control settings as well as my skip track. The overall steering wheel looks and feels nice and is on par of what I would expect from Toyota. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, and down below, I have my gauge dimmer switch and automatic headlights. Moving onto the door, we do have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get the very typical Toyota infotainment system. I've dealt with this so much in the past. It's a pretty decent system. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, for 2022, they were still wired. There was no wireless option yet, although in 2023, you can get wireless. And here's the backup camera, which has always been the Achilles heel of Toyota. They have awful backup cameras. And although it does the job, it is a backup camera, the quality of it is pitiful for a vehicle at this price point. Moving down below the center screen, we do have our hazard switch and climate control vent. Then our climate controls themselves. Unfortunately, I don't get any dual zone in here, which I would have liked to have seen, but not the end of the world. But I do have auto, which is a nice feature, and I can't complain too much. Then I do get a little cubby and my heated seat options, which are very nice. And then we come down to the center. So I do have a sport mode that I can toggle on and off, as well as my traction control off button. Then we have the shifter. I can plus minus if I would like, although it is a simulated plussing and minusing. But the overall shifter looks good, feels good, and operates as it should. Then I have my power parking brake and brake hold, and then we have the cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Corolla Apex, and unfortunately it fails. However, it shares that trait with all of the other Corollas I've ever tested. Then we do get a little center console and the seats. Because this is based off the XSE, it does get the upgraded fake leather as opposed to cloth. It's a sort of pleather style vinyl thing. And it actually is pretty comfortable, looks presentable, and that's all I can really ask for out of a Corolla. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2022 Toyota Corolla Apex XSE, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room is decent. My knee is coming close to the seat, but not touching it, and I did move it back a little bit, so actually pretty good. Headroom, my head is coming close to the ceiling, but again, not touching it. This is a huge improvement over the Corolla hatchback. The Corolla hatchback, GR included, has an awful back seat. So unusable. This is a lot better, miles better. I wouldn't even know that these cars shared a name. So, love that about this. It also does get the gold stitching carrying on from the front, which I like as a nice touch. I do get a center console with two cup holders in there. Not really anything to note beyond that, but just spatially, this is so much better than the Corolla hatchback. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Corolla Apex, little button down there, and tons of space in the trunk, which I really like. I would say, honestly, it feels like more space in the back of the sedan than the hatchback. I know the hatchback opens up, has a wider opening, but in terms of actual floor space, this feels a lot larger, and I know it goes deeper, so definitely very nice to see around the back of the Corolla Apex. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and notably this is a little different than the other Corollas. Like I said, it does get that blacked out package, although you could get the Apex in either black, white, or this sort of slate dark grayish bluish color, which is kind of an interesting color, but this is the black, and all of them get the bronze accents. So you'll notice the bronze accents on the front bumper as well as running along the side skirt, which I think is a nice little touch that Toyota didn't necessarily have to do. But speaking of Toyota not having to do anything, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Toyota Corolla Apex? Well, I think that it's very good if you understand this car. A lot of people in their videos compare this to the Honda Civic Si. And while they are priced very similarly, if you can find a Civic Si at MSRP, you could get them for basically the same amount of money. This was 28 something, the Civic Si I drove was 28 something. The Civic Si is going to be a lot more of a hardcore vehicle because they only come in manual, they're turbocharged, they make more power. That's for someone who wants something that is going to be very sporty all the time. This car is a good middle ground. The GR Corolla, the more powerful older brother to the Apex, that's like seeing the new Fast and Furious movie at midnight. You wait all day, you get dressed up, maybe you wear a bald cap and a white tank top and a big cross necklace, and you and your friends all day you say, family, family, family. That's the GR Corolla. The Corolla Apex, still a fan of the franchise, but this car waits till it's on streaming. This car watches the Fast and Furious when it's on the Stars network or during daytime TV. And both are reputable fans of the franchise. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's fun to get dressed up and go to the midnight premiere. It's also fun to just have a laid-back viewing experience and still enjoy the content. And so that's why I think the Apex actually is a pretty worthy competitor in Toyota's lineup, because it's someone that wants something a little bit more than just the standard Corolla, but they don't want the aggressiveness that the GR offers. And so yes, you can find other vehicles that are sportier at this price point, but I don't think that's the market that Toyota was trying to conquer. Speaking of which, you get my point. That was not planned. So what do you guys think? I'm curious to know what you guys think about in the comments. Is this a good trim level? Do you guys think that you would seek one of these out? Or is this just another trim that is going to fade into obscurity a couple years down the road? Leave your thoughts down below. But huge thank you to Colin for letting me take out his Apex Corolla. Colin and I actually grew up together and we haven't talked in a couple of years, so it was really nice to sort of reminisce and catch up through the avenue of doing a car review, which was really, really special and really fun. Colin, thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you making this video possible. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.